Hi, welcome back. We are at the point where we are gonna decide which route are we gonna go for, and for my first route, it will be Carl. I am choosing routes depending on which makes the most sense lore-wise. So yeah, we are gonna start with Carl. We are just gonna sit with him. I'm tired, and I feel awful. I just don't have it in me to chase everyone down right now. Flynn's back off to Echo, and it looks like Leo went after TJ. But I can't imagine the Lynx wants all of us crowding around him right now. I sigh, rubbing my face before I sit down in the lawn chair next to Carl. He looks over at me, slowly lowering what's definitely a joint from his mouth. What? I don't mind. I make a "go on" gesture with my paw. Carl shakes his head though, pushing the disheveled tube back into his front pocket. Nah, I always kinda feel like a dick when the other guy isn't into it. Want me to leave? He shakes his head with a quick flick of his horns. No, man, I just do it when there's nothing else to do. Ah. There's a moment of silence, and I feel a little pressure to break it, since I'm the one who interrupted his bake session. I actually tried it a few years ago. Carol looks surprised. Oh, really? How was it? I shrug. Pretty bad. Wasn't a muffin, I think. Carol makes a face at that. Edibles. Yeah, well, I ended up eating one. Didn't feel anything for a while. Next thing I know, I'm face down on the floor and everyone's freaking out. Shit, that sucks. It was kind of funny, but I don't think I'll ever try it again. Caleb pulls the joint back out of his pocket and holds it up. That's why you should use one of these. It's easier on the brain. Yeah, well, I guess I just don't like the idea of putting smoke in my lungs. Same. I'm the same as Chase when it comes to this. I'd rather eat edibles. Caleb puts the joint back in his pocket. I get that. Again, there's a few seconds of silence, and I try to think of something to say, but Carl beats me to it. Crazy shit, huh? I assume he's talking about what just happened. Yeah, crazy. But you know how he is. He's regretting everything right now. Well, I guess I'd rather he just wouldn't say it in the first place. What he said to TJ, man. He picks on him a lot, but that was crossing the line. Kyle scratches behind one of his horns, then rubs his nose. Well, yeah, I guess I never understood that either. Making fun of TJ is like making fun of a cloud. But Flynn doesn't mean it, usually. He likes TJ. I've noticed during the trip that Carl's been pretty defensive of Flynn, even though he's the butt of most of the lizard's jokes. I'd seen Flynn trip Carl up and put him in several headlocks since I got here. You'd think getting older would change that, but I swear they roughhouse even more than they did before. So, you and him still seem pretty close. You guys hang out a lot? Yeah, a bit. Mostly because there isn't much else to do. He's got a friend in Peyton that he hangs out with sometimes too. So, what do you guys do? I know Flynn isn't into video games at all, and Carol probably doesn't care to go clubbing every other night. He shrugs. Sometimes we go fishing, maybe just drive around Peyton. Mostly I'm just hanging out at home though. Playing video games? Playing video games, watching movies, cybering with a chatbot, the usual. I grin. That's sad. I would have cybered with you if I'd known you didn't have anyone. I don't know, man. That thing compiles all the fetishes of the people it's talked to. It's gotten my sexuality all kinds of fucked up. Oh yeah? Yeah, seems like no matter what I say to her, she's tied up in some warehouse, blindfolded with a few missing limbs. Well, that is very concerning. You underestimate my abilities. Oh, and a gender swap that comes out of nowhere halfway through. Well, while you're not sexing up a robot, you doing anything else? He chuckles. I can't exactly get around myself anymore. So, I guess your parents decided against getting you a new car. Yeah. Oh, look at this. He leans over and pulls out his phone. I can't help but notice it's a top model brand, probably around $700. But he's not showing me the phone. Instead, he presses at the screen a few times and swipes through some pictures. I swear I see an image of Flynn with his pants down, mooning the camera. Gal swipes over it pretty quick though, and now I'm looking at the image of a brand new sedan. Except the front is neatly folded up around the pole of a stop sign. I recognize the sign. I'd actually seen it right outside the convenience store, still bent at a ridiculous angle. Guess the town didn't care enough to get it fixed. The pole itself is almost embedded into the middle of the hood. Holy shit. Carl chuckles and pinches the screen, zooming in. Yeah, dropped my phone and when I came back up, this freaking pole was right in front of me. Really, Carl? Why were you on your phone? I don't know. When I get to town, I don't really think anyone's gonna be on the road. I sigh, then notice a big round spot on the right side of the windshield, spiderwebbed and smashed white. Whoa, is that? Yup. Carl knocks on his head for effect, the hollow sound that emits seeming rather appropriate. You rely on that too much, and you really need to start wearing your seatbelt. He shrugs and puts the phone back in his pocket before leaning back in the chair and closing his eyes. What's the point? To not die? Happens to everyone sooner or later. Why not get out early if you can? He keeps his voice light under the heavy statement. I have no idea what to say to that, so I don't. But he breaks the silence again soon enough. So, how's PU? Do you see Chelsea at all? Sometimes I forget Carl went to Pueblo with me. It was only one semester, but we had a lot of fun. It's alright. I haven't seen Chelsea at all though. It is a big school. Anyway, what's that project thing you're doing? Just a news packet about Echo, really. Kinda about how it's falling apart. Huh. I've told him this already, but Carl never remembers much. My center it around the whole body in the mind thing that happened way back. Carl opens his eyes and looks at me. So, do you need like history stuff, like old books and records and stuff? Yeah, if it relates. Carl sits up straighter and grins. Well, why didn't you say so? We've got a ton of stuff in the crawl space from way back then. Yeah? What kind of stuff? Carl sits a hoof against one of the rocks circling the fire pit and starts rocking his chair back. Well, whatever my family kept over the years. That one guy, Carl snaps his fingers a few times. You know, the guy founded this place, James? Yeah, sure. He's like my great-great-great-grandfather or something. I think we still have some of that stuff from back in the day. My parents were thinking about setting up an eco museum thing, but they never did. This might actually be useful to me. All I had planned was to maybe look over some old newspapers or town records and be done with it. Actually, seeing some old stuff up close could be pretty cool. That might be a good idea, actually. Carlo grins. Awesome. I always kinda wanted to look through that stuff, but the crawl space is damn creepy. You free tonight? For the first time, Carlo actually looks really excited. Oh, wait, never mind. Flint's taking me to a dentist appointment early in the morning. How about around 11 tomorrow? I smile. Sounds like a plan. Sweet. Whoa. Carlo gives an excited kick off the rock, and as the chair stiffens back, the back legs practically snap under his weight. He sends slamming down on his rear, the chair a crumpled mess under his ass. I laugh, and of course I feel bad, but Carlo just gets up with a sheepish smile, looking down at the broken pile. Well, Leo's gonna be pissed. I'm driving down the road alongside the lake. Carlo's sitting next to me. He's in the chair that he broke. I keep telling him to wear his seatbelt, but he won't. I turn down the road. I don't remember. It goes straight down towards the lake. For some reason, I can't stop. I brace myself for the impact, but I hardly feel anything. We just glide into the lake. I start trying to take off the seatbelt, but it's stuck. I look over at Carl, and he smiles before opening his door. Water rushes in, and he starts to step out. Soon the water is over my head, and it doesn't matter that I'm an otter. You are having some concerning dreams, Chase. Turns out it was a good idea to hang out with Carl today. After texting back and forth with Leo, I learned that he's actually planning a birthday party for the ram. It's a little weird since Carl's birthday isn't for another month, but I guess it's just an excuse to have to have a party. Leo tells me to keep Carl distracted for the day while they go shopping for decorations and gifts. He also tells me he'll get my gift for Carl, which is fine with me. TJ's pretty bummed though, considering it throws off his hiking plans, but Jenna promises him that they'll at least hike for half the trail. I want to go talk to him, but he's acting pretty cold towards me, Probably because I'm bailing on my promise to go with him. I drive to Carl's house because it's pretty far separated from the rest of the echo, up against the foothills of the 𝐏𝐚𝐭𝐫𝐞𝐨𝐧 mountain range. It'd probably take me 15 minutes to get up there, and there's no way in hell I'm doing that. In this heat, uphill, when I've got a car. The main reason it's separated like this is because Carlos' house is a mansion. Carlos' family is loaded. A legacy that's followed them ever since Carlos, great whatever, struck it rich over 100 years ago. James Hendricks eventually went on to start an ice cream business, which, at this point, has spread out over the most of the western half of the country. Carl's mom is the CEO, I think. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I should probably get some shots of the mansion, considering its role in the town's history. Most of the old mansion has been demolished at this point, but I think parts of it are still from the original structure. Probably best to ask them first though. I walk up to the front door and ring the doorbell, listening to the fancy chime inside. I wait for about a minute, starting to wonder if Carl is asleep, or just high off his ass, when I hear some voices from behind the house. I'm definitely recognizing the crackly timbre of Carl's voice, along with the high tenor of Flynn's. I head around the house, stepping carefully through the desert landscaping, and walking into the backyard. "'Cause you wanna make out with him?" "No, because you like to make things weird. I just want it relaxed." That's when Carl notices me as I round the corner, clutching my camera bag to my side. He's leaning over a bush with a giant set of clippers, while Flynn lounges up against the wall, watching him. "Whoa, Chase." Carl's ears perk and he grins. "Sorry, Flynn." Carl rolls his big head at the lizard. "Was supposed to be watching for you." Flynn doesn't look at me right away, instead choosing to pull the toothpick he's chewing out of his muzzle to look at it. He's still embarrassed about yesterday. Good. "That's alright. Wasn't hard to hear you guys from the front." "Yeah, just doing some yard work. Obviously." He rubs behind his head. "Promise my parents I'd get this done before they got back." Carl starts snipping at the bush again. He's unusually sharp right now. I'm guessing because he hasn't had anything to smoke. Either way, it's jarring to see him so animated. "Well, looks like you're doing a good job." "Oh, he's only moving this fast because he wants to hang out with you, Chase." Even though the sentence is technically being said to me, I feel like Flynn's directing it at Carl. Carl furrows his brow. "Chase, you can go inside if you want. The back is open." I think that's a good idea because it's clear now that I've walked in on an argument. "You should have seen him a few minutes ago. It was like he had a girlfriend coming over." Carl sighs loudly, and his snips start to get a bit more violent. "No, I'm just glad to have some company that isn't only you, Flynn." Flynn looks annoyed, and that annoys me. He really didn't have the right to be frustrated with anyone after yesterday. "Really? Always seemed to be enough for you in the past." Flynn makes a kissy face. I have no idea if this is one of their inside jokes or not. Carl stops snipping for a second, then starts up again, more slowly. "Well, you know, lizards can be fun. but they don't have all the parts that I like, if you know what I mean. Carl smirks sideways at Flynn. Flynn sneers back, and though I've decided that they're still joking, there's definitely a growing tension between them. What you saying there, Carl? Carlos stops snipping and plants the point of the clippers into the ground, leaning on it as he turns to face Flynn. What I'm saying is you've got no Before Kyle can finish his sentence, Flynn turns to the right, away from him. This also brings his fat tail around to slam into Kyle's crotch with a whap that makes me cringe. Kyle jumps, then squeaks before toppling to the ground. Oh man, my nuts! Yeah, definitely wish I had those, all dangly and vulnerable and shit. Anyway, I'll leave you two sluts alone. Flynn sticks the toothpick back into his muzzle, and I have to consciously try not to cover my crotch while he walks by me. He hasn't looked at me this whole time. Once Flynn's gone, I sidle up to Carl, who's still curled up on the ground, holding himself while he mutters under his breath. You alright? Fuck no. There's not really anything I can do, so I rub his shoulder with a toe comfortingly, and he freezes up as I do, looking at my foot. I'm alright though. He gets himself into a sitting position before he gets up awkwardly, standing bow-legged. I forgot how much Flynn likes to hit people in the nuts. I'll get him back. It still hurts him if you hit hard enough. As he stands there, doubled over with his paws on his knees, I look around. Carol's house has actual grass in the back, which is rare in Echo. Most people either xeriscape or just let the sagebrush take over. Another rarity are the two tall trees on either side of the yard. That's when I notice how empty one of them looks. Hey, where'd the treehouse go? Carl follows my gaze. Oh, yeah, my dad took it down a few years ago. It was falling apart. His dad also built the treehouse. I can remember hanging out up there, playing on our portable game consoles with a fan at full blast. Even then, it was still almost too hot to hang out up there. I walk up to the base of the tree and put my hand against the trunk, grinning. Man, remember all the shit we did up there? Carl shuffles up next to me, still bow-legged, and grins too. Yeah, good times. I think about climbing it, but I notice that the branch we used to use as a foothold has been cut off. Your dad ruined this thing. Carl scrapes at the spot where the branch used to be with a hoof. Yeah, I guess it made the moving harder, and we didn't use it anymore, so he just cut it off. I can see Carl's looking for a way up too, and soon enough his eyes settle on the branch just above his head. I don't know if... Carl's already jumping to grab onto the branch with both paws. It doesn't look very sturdy. Dude, that's gonna break. So, I'm fucking fat. I'll bounce. Look at that. Tummy shot. I'm about to tell him again that the branch is definitely going to break when I notice his shirt ridden up all the way over his round belly. It's not like he's It's not like he's a bag of lard though. It's a control type of gut. held tight with the muscles underneath, pulling it in as he flexes. He notices me staring right away and kicks out at me playfully. Pervert, first my moves and now this? I jump back and he tries to follow me with a bigger swing of his legs, and that's when the branch snaps loudly. Carl goes down once again, landing squarely on his back. Ooh. I cover my face instinctively, but I still hear the hollow thud, followed by the whoosh of breath going out of his lungs. Slowly I lower my paws and find the chubby ram rolling back and forth on the ground, eyes wide as his mouth hangs open. A distant memory comes to mind of a time when we were both 10, and Carl was showing me a trick with his new bike ramp. The handlebars ended up in his gut when he landed, and he spent a full minute rolling around on the ground just like this. Good times. Not for him. Shit. I suck in air through my teeth and kneel next to him again, patting him uselessly. After a few seconds of hesitation, I reach over and grab the front of the waistband of his shorts and pull up on it. Even though he's completely deflated, he looks at me with a bizarre expression and swats away at my paw, giving a few breathless snorts as he tries to laugh. Hey, it's supposed to help you breathe. I've seen the coaches do it at school. I'm realizing that Carl's way too heavy to arch up like that, so I give up and end up just petting his stomach, wishing I could help somehow. Just stretch out. His breath is already coming back, but he follows my instruction anyway, and we sit there for a while, the silence punctuated by his heavy breathing. I start laughing. Jesus Christ, Carl. Can you go one day without hurting yourself? He chuckles too, his belly shaking under my paw. Now you know why I don't go outside. He slumps back for a while, taking in deep breaths before lifting his head up again. He looks down his chest at my paw and grins. Seems like you can keep your paws off me, though. I move my paw, letting him pull down his shirt as he grunts and sits up. How about I just let you suffocate next time? I almost did, laughing while I couldn't breathe. I thought you were trying to grab my dick. I put my paws on my hips. Is it because I'm gay? That might just be it. Carl grabs the branch that had broken off the tree and quirks up the corner of his mouth. Dad's not gonna be happy about that. Who cares? It's just a branch. You know my dad. He gets up and tosses the branch over the fence into the desert, then turns back to me. So, now that it feels like Lucha fucking Lobo just gave me the quebradora con giro, I think I'm done for the day. Wanna work on your project now? I'd honestly rather just hang out here with Carl, but the sun's enough to put a damper on that. Carl's house is like a labyrinth. I think he once told me that it has over 30 rooms, which is fucking insane. The living room is about 5 times larger than the one in my parents' house, and it's hard to miss with what looks like a 100-inch flat screen against the wall. According to Carl, the first mansion was even bigger though. After getting a drink, he leads me straight downstairs into the basement. Down the hallway, we pass a small home theater, what looks like an entertainment room with a bar, and then a small gym. The quick glance I get shows at least 10 fitness contraptions. After that, things get a little more dingy, and I can see how portions of the foundation could be decades old. Finally, at the end of the hall, Carla opens the door and I can see from the ceiling that it's right under the stairs we came down on. Carl waves his paw around and finally grasps something before pulling down. An old light bulb comes on, and I see there's a little door with a small latch on it. He opens it, and I'm greeted with a musty smell as Carl slides through the opening. I follow tentatively, making sure I'm not walking into any cobwebs. Are there a lot of spiders down here? I don't think so. We sprayed a few weeks ago. It's extremely dark, and I hear Carl grunting next to me. There's a floodlight here somewhere. Ah, here it is. Like everything in this house, it's big for a crawl space. Pillars sprout from the ground in 2 rows that stretch back almost into darkness. The ground is covered in a tarp, and I see dozens of plastic bins lining the walls. This is a lot of shit. Yup, it's a few generations worth of shit. I walk over the tarp to look into one of the bins, but all I can see is clumps of cloth and towel through the cloudy plastic. Carl walks past me straight towards the back of the crawl space, his big hoofs clopping along loudly. I actually helped them sort through all this stuff last year, so I think I know where it is. I follow him, but it's hard to see in the darkness. Should we get a flashlight? Nah, it's only in 2 taps, I think. We'll just pull them to the front. I stand off to the side as I watch him push bins around, looking at the labels on top. I look over at one of them and see home movies written on it, and it's filled with cassettes. Ugh, don't remind me. I look up and see that Carlos noticed me staring at the bin. What? Carlo grunts as he lifts up a bin and drops it pretty carelessly to the floor. I'm pretty sure I hear something break. Mom had me help her convert all that to digital. Took all fucking year. Wow. Yeah, it's in the cloud now. You're actually in a lot of those videos. Huh, really? Yeah, birthday parties and shit. Of course I would be. Carl's dad practically had a video camera glued to his eye back in the day. I used to hang out with Carl almost as much as I did Leo once we started going out. I even went on their family vacation a few times. But then me going out with Leo changed things. Looking back, I think Carl was kind of unhappy with that. We can watch if you want. We're done here, if you want. Sure. That sounds like an old person thing to do, but I am curious. Found it. Carl slides out 2 plastic bins and I see history written on the top. Help me carry one. Carl lifts up the top one and starts waddling back to the front. I bend over and lift the second, and I'm surprised at how fucking heavy it is. I'm worried I'm not even gonna get it off the ground for a few seconds, but I manage after a while. If Carl's bin is as heavy as mine, then he's a fucking beast at being able to lift and carry it like that. I stagger after him, almost certain that I'm gonna go head first into the wall. Once we make it back near the stairs, I bent over to set down my bin, and that's when I see a massive spider sitting on the lid. It takes about half a second for me to recognize the black shape and spindly legs. Oh fuck! I scream and drop the bin, and before I know it, I'm halfway back from where we came, panting and shivering. Holy shit, what happened? I tremble and try to steady my voice. A fucking spider. What? You're really still scared of those? Man, for a second I thought my sister came home and then got murdered. You told me there weren't any. I didn't say that. I just said we sprayed. Just get rid of it. At this point, I've shuffled a little closer back to the light, and I can see Carl grinning as he bends over to look at the lid of the bin. Whoa, it's got babies on its back. My body gives a violent, involuntary spasm, and I shake my paws like a fucking girl. Stop it! He glances up at me with that stupid smile still on his face. Whoa, that was gay. But seriously, it's got a bunch of tiny babies on its back. I think it's a wall spider. I swear I'm gonna pass the hell out if he doesn't stop talking. I cover my face. Please. Alright. I didn't know you were that scared of him. You should probably get that checked out. Considering that I almost crashed my car into the garage of my parents' house when a spider crawled out of the AC, he was probably right. Just kill it. Why would I do that? I watch as he tilts the bin sideways. It's not gonna hurt anyone. I want to tell him that those babies are only going to grow into 100 more giant wolf spiders. But I realize I'll just come off as a bloodthirsty asshole, so I bit my lip as I watch the black spot skitter off into the darkness. I roll back towards Carl, hugging my shoulders as I try to control the chills running through me. Now I'm gonna be paranoid the whole time that it's gonna come back out to get me. Carl rubs my back when I stand next to him. You know, they actually clean up a lot of other bugs that get into the house. Yeah, well, I'd rather be covered in ants than spiders. It's clear that he's trying not to laugh at me as he starts popping the lid of his bin. On the top are a few framed pictures, and under those are a few more cardboard boxes. I release the latches on the other bin, keeping my eye out for any black spots that might jump out at me. This one is filled with bundles wrapped in cloth or paper. Carlo drags his bin to the steps so that he can sit on them, and I follow suit. So, how do you think you'll use this stuff? I unwrap a smaller bundle and look at the gold pocket watch underneath. Wow, well, not really sure. Depends on what we find. Might film a few things. There's a paper tag attached to the chain with Robert Hendricks written on it. Who's this? Carl gives it a glance. No idea. Probably a great uncle or something. I wrap the pocket watch and I reach back into the bin to pull out the next item. There's something really cool about old stuff. My mind wanders into who might have made it, who bought it, and how much shit it must have seen. History was my first choice to major in, but Dad put a stop to that pretty quick. I pull out various other things, dolls, a pipe, coins, and another pocket watch. I feel like this is worth a lot of money. Why don't they sell it? Probably, but it's family stuff, and I think they want to do the museum. He gives an awkward cough. Besides, we already got plenty of money. He's got the binder open, looking at black and white photos behind the plastic. Hey, this is him, right? He points at a picture of a very dignified looking ram, thumbs in his vest, wearing one of those big top hats. A fox stands next to him in a similar pose. I can see a piece of yellow paper set behind the photo and tug it out. James Hendricks, yep, definitely him. And John Bigay, huh? Bigay. That's Jenna's last name. Gal's phone starts buzzing, and he grunts as he leans back to pull it out of his pocket. Hey Mom, helping Chase with his projects. No, of course not. I look over at him, but he gets up and clubs back up the steps. Looking back down at the picture, I wonder if it's just a coincidence, but I don't think so. Jenna's family has been in Echo since the beginning, too, so this guy definitely has to be a relative of some kind. I take a picture of the photograph with my phone. I'll show it to Jenna later and ask if she knows anything about it. To do that without a car? Carolyn raises his voice, so I look back up the steps, wondering if I should close the door. Hearing him angry like that didn't feel right. His parents were always hard on him, but I guess they had their reasons. I spend the next 20 minutes shuffling through the bins, trying to be careful not to break anything. I decide I have enough and put the lids back on the bins, lining the stuff I picked out along one of the steps since I don't have anywhere else to put them. By the time I head back up into the actual basement, Carl's gone. As I approach Carlo's room, I smell it before I even open the door. He's reclined on his bed, an arm thrown over his face, the big window above him open. Clothes are scattered all over the floor, along with a few empty water bottles and bowls. Every inch of the walls are covered in posters like I remember, along with a few on the ceiling. Bookcases line the opposite wall, filled to the brim with comics and toys. He raises up his arm as I walk in and smiles. Sorry about the mess, dude. It's hard to keep everything clean when my parents aren't here to yell at me about it. The lazy, crackly sound in his voice has returned full force. His eyes are distant. It's okay. Are you okay? He grins stupidly. Dude, I'm more than okay. Since there's nowhere else to sit, I end up sitting down on the foot of his bed. Do they let you smoke in here? The smell in his room is layered and old, like the walls had been blanketed in the smell several times before. Yep, they gave up trying to stop me. Better to be in the house rather than getting caught by some cop outside. They just made me promise that I wouldn't ever try something harder. Good thing they don't know I've already tried Dick. He puts a lot of emphasis on the K, as the bad joke seems to just dribble out his muzzle. I lean back on the bed, and that's when I notice his flat screen, just a 48-inch, is on. A list of video files displayed on it. What you watching? Oh. Carla grunts as he sits up and reaches for a game controller. Our old home movies. Was gonna show you some of them. How about a birthday? Sure. He scrolls down the list, then stops when Carl's 8th is highlighted and presses play. The backyard I was in an hour earlier pops up on the screen. Now a long table sits in the middle of the lawn, along with a massive bounce house. And not just any bounce house, but a giant 2-story one you'd find at the state fair. The video is time-stamped. April 19th, 2002. Fuck, I remember this. There are about 20 kids, mostly in the bounce house, and most of them who I'm forgotten. Right now though, the camera zooming in on an 80-year-old Carl. He's messing with a giant Nerf gun, the kind that no kid ever gets because they are so damn expensive. And that's when 80-year-old me enters the picture, holding a much smaller Nerf gun. His parents gave everyone a goodie bag that day. It had toys in it that I might not have been able to get on my own birthday. My kid self puts the gun to Carl's head and pulls the trigger, the dart bouncing off one of his horns. I specifically remember that moment. I had thought that the suction end of the dart was going to stick, but of course it didn't. The audio is filled with a deep chuckle, Carl's dad behind the camera. You were a dick back then. What? I was 8. Still, you blew out my candles. Oh yeah. He got so mad about that. I start to settle back and smile. It's been a long time since I watched a home movie, and I've forgotten how nice it is to have this method of looking back. Kind of like when I get stuck on scrolling through all the old images on my phone. My younger self is trying to help Carl with a gun, lifting up the barrel and looking into the opening. Careful! Kid Chase pulls his head back with a jolt, as Carl's dad yells, then mutters behind the camera. Let's see how long it takes him to trick Carl into trading with him. Carl's dad sounds exasperated, but good-natured. It still makes me blush a bit, now knowing how aware Jim was of my taking advantage of his son. Our struggles with the Nerf gun gets to the attention of another kid though. My breath catches in my throat as Sydney bounces into the frame. I can feel Carl tensing up next to me too, and he starts to lean for the game controller. And here comes the Mormon boy. The disgust in Carl's dad's voice shocks me, and I hear Carl whisper a curse next to me as he fumbles for the controller. Sydney reaches out and pulls the gun away from Carl as he looks it over, grinning. Hey! Suddenly, the screen switches back to the file menu, and we both sit there in silence for a few seconds. Sorry, I guess I forgot that. Of course Sydney was going to be at that party, but I'd honestly forgotten too. If there was any way to perfectly ruin the mood, that had been it. I glance over at Carl and see him looking down at the gamepad, ears lowered, the insides red. Hey, it's okay. I mean, maybe it's a good thing to watch. My dad, I didn't know he'd said that. I'd rather not find out what else he'd said. Oh, yeah. I look around, trying to find something, anything to distract us from what just happened. My eyes fall onto the shelves holding Carl's game library. Wanna play a game? And we end it right here. Alright, I'll see you in the next one.